So I know what you're thinking. Right now you're going, wow, this is a great boon. What we can do in our training groups and professional development departments is we can just create these intelligent apps for everyone, right? We can just create them. We'll let the professionals make it for them. What's wrong with that? It's not theirs, right? Here's the thing. Did you hear the words I said? Responsibility. Okay, when I was at the Boeing company and I started my first real professional job, and I wore adult shoes, it was around 30 years ago, and I started in a group called Man-Machine Systems Technology. It's so long ago you couldn't even name a group that now, right? It wouldn't be politically correct. That group was roughly around 100 experimental psychologists. It's the largest human factors group in the world at that time, and their whole work was trying to study how to lay out instrumentation in the cockpit so it would make the pilots more effective, make them more safe when they're flying the plane. I was working in a small little rogue group that was looking at how can you apply artificial intelligence to this human-computer interface. And in that group, we were studying things like we take for granted now, right? Natural language processing, speech recognition, and this thing called expert systems, where you take the expertise of a human being and you put it into the plane management system so it can help with the mission if it's military, or it can help with the flight if it's on the commercial side. So I'm working away, and then one day, a box showed up. And they put it right next to my desk. There wasn't very much room, so I'm looking at this box. Nobody got it. 2 or 3 days went by. Then a week, and they shoved it back towards the door. And I got curious. So I went and started to open the box. I recognized what was inside because I'd read about it, but I'd never seen one. So I started pulling it out, and a colleague came up from behind me, and he said, "Hey, what's that?" And I said, "That's a Lisa." How many people know what a Lisa is? Oh, good for you. Good for you. Lisa was the precursor to the Macintosh. They only made a few because they cost $10,000, but they wanted to test the market. And boy, they were right. People snapped them up, even though they cost 10 grand, right? So I pull it out, and I start setting it up, and I have someone else come by, and they go, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm setting this up." "Why would you do that?" And I go, "Well, I have a conference in a couple weeks. I'm going to make my overheads with this thing." "What? Why don't you use the secretarial pool like everybody else?" I go, "I don't know. I just want to try it." So what he meant by that is that at our company, that people were making presentations with clear transparencies and felt pens. How many people remember that? You don't even have to raise your hand. You don't have to. Yeah, you're admitting you're old, and so that's okay. So that's how you do it. And you do it in internal meetings, you just write it down. You go to a conference, you want to be kind to people, you write your transparencies ahead of time, and then you make copies. And then if you work for a company that's a major company in the world, then what you want to do is you're concerned about your public image, so you have someone in the secretarial pool write it up for you, right? Nice handwriting, make your copies. And there you go. Well, I wasn't going to be daunted by that because I saw that new Lisa and I thought, wow, I got to try this thing. So I made my presentation. And then about a week before I was supposed to give it, you do a dry run or two at where you work, and people started coming by my desk. People I didn't even know, and they go, "Wow, I've heard about your presentation, can I see it?" And I thought, man, I'm getting quite the reputation. I'm quite the scientist here. And I'm thinking, this is great. But no, it wasn't me. What they wanted to see was my presentation. So they asked questions like, "How'd you get that font? Where'd you get that picture? How did you insert it?" So I took it and I went ahead, did my presentation. 3 years go by, and I'm leaving late one night. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I noticed something funny. There were a lot of people still there in the office, and I noticed that almost all of them were managers. And I looked closer, and guess what they were doing? They were making presentations on their new Macintoshes. So something was definitely happening. And looking back on it, what I see it is that they were making that their own. They now had a tool where they could make their message more clear, they could make it more sophisticated, and it was their message. You didn't have somebody else copy it down for them. So they took ownership for it. And the typing pool, how many people have typing pools in your organization right now? Yeah, we make our own memos, don't we? Our own reports and our own presentations. So I know a number of you, have been kind of dozing off, just like I was trying to fall off the stage there. And I know you've been like watching some of the NBA playoffs from last night and posting stuff on Facebook and checking email. So if I could just get your attention just for a second, actually 10 seconds, and I want to tell you something that I hope you remember. If you don't remember anything else I say today, this is it. Is that training groups and professional development organizations are the typing pools of the new learning economy. They're going to be gone in just a few years. So I know what you're thinking, like, oh my God, right? That's how we make a living. Most of us in this room are somehow connected to training or we're connected to professional development. Well, what are we going to do? Well, it's actually a really good thing. Because guess what? As we change our paradigm from being measured on what we do to actually looking at how we bring value to our organizations is what we learn and how we disseminate that, all of our dreams have come true. We're finally taking center stage. Not only do we have a seat at the table, we're at the head of the table. Because that's where value comes from in the new economy. So for us, what we have to do is not so much think about how can we train and professionally develop people, but how can we make them, like Josie said, bigger than they are? How can we grow their brains and their intellect, embrace these technologies? And how can we grow the courage in them, professional values? The courage to now be able to say, I'm now bigger than I am, and I'll take the responsibility for that. And finally, how do we give them the heart to do the right thing? There's a lot for us to do, but it's in a very exciting landscape. So with that, I'll give you your call to action. You can see I'm passionate about this. So come work with us. We can help you make intelligent applications. And more than that, we can help with your organizations to help with the organizational development and the change that's going to be needed for individuals, teams, and organizations to embrace these technologies and embrace these new perceptions of how they bring value to their organizations. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.